Before we get to the show, I wanted to acknowledge that this week is going to be a little different. It's Pizza Week, and we will be dropping episodes with a little more frequency in the feed. I'm here with producer Shalia Harris to talk about Pizza Week. So let me ask you, are you a pizza fan?
I am a massive pizza fan.
What do you like about pizza?
So for whatever reason, a pizza parlor has always been the third space in my life. And I'm not really sure why that is. I don't know if it's something about like the universality of pizza, but even growing up, like there was like this brick oven place around the corner from my parents. And like that's where, you know, we went every Saturday night, or if someone was in town, we went there. Or like they threw my like high school graduation party. It was just like where we were if we weren't at home. And I even think about like there was this one summer where Roberta's had a brick oven on the boardwalk. I was like just about out of college, but still had a lot of free time with friends. And like I went there like probably 3-4 times a week and just had a pizza on the beach. For whatever reason, like it's just always a place that's felt like home.
Yeah, I can't agree more. This is a great week of conversations. Get into the X's and O's of pizza, the different styles. We're going to talk to some really, really cool people, really big names in pizza. But really, when it comes down to it, these operators are talking about the community that they've built in their pizza restaurants. That's really one of the things that they really pride themselves on. Pizza arrives in multitudes, and we'll be featuring interviews with pizza professionals from all over the country who cook in many different styles. Up first is an interview with Dan Richer, the owner of Razza in Jersey City, New Jersey. It's such a cool place. I really am inspired by Dan's work, and I hope you all dig into Pizza Week on This Is Taste.
Pizza is my platform for discovering the world. It's so interesting how many different subjects from history and society, culture, all of the sciences, from chemistry to biology, agriculture, thermodynamics, you have to understand the very basics in order to cook pizza properly.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. Dan Richer is the owner behind Razza in New Jersey City, New Jersey. Yeah. New York Times critic Pete Wells once called Razza the best New York City pizza not in New York. And the 2017 assessment brought a swell of pizza freaks across the river to sample Richer's pie. In this interview, we talk about the review that changed everything, and we dig into how Richer describes his pizza, his obsession with bread, and his great cookbook, The Joy of Pizza, everything you need to know. We loved having Dan in the studio to kick off Pizza Week. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Dan Richer, welcome to This Is Taste.
Thanks for having me.
Exciting to have you here to talk pizza. Just you're a real local legend.
Thank you.
How do you feel about that when I say that?
I think I'm just me.
I know. But, Pete Wells is writing this in 2017. We'll get to that article. Is New York's best pizza in New Jersey? That question mark. Well, he answers it with 3 stars. That happened in 2017. We'll get there eventually, your journey at Razza and what you're doing there. But I want to first just get into some pizza talk. You grew up in Jersey, you work in Jersey, but when I say NYC pizza, what is NYC pizza? It's definitely the region of New York. So what to you is this regional pizza that I think has a defined role in our lives, but also is pretty defined? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really important to define. Are we talking about pizza in New York or New York style pizza?
Oh, right. So
because they're very different things.
Right. Let's split it up. Do it.
New York's a city, and there's so many different styles of pizza. You can get Chicago style tavern or deep dish at a place like Emmett's. You can get arguably better Neapolitan pizza in New York City at Una Pizza Napolitana than you can in Naples.
Yeah. The neo scene. We'll get into that. Yeah.
And every style possible is within New York City. So that's not necessarily New York style pizza.
Yeah.
New York style pizza is its own thing.
What is it?
It's a street food. It's a 18 to 24 inch large pie baked at lower temperatures than Neapolitan style pizza, originally in a coal-fired oven, because that's what was here.
Yeah. Lombardi's comes to mind. Right.
Exactly. And then eventually when gas ovens started to proliferate in the 40s and 50s, then the temperature got a little lower. The pizza changed a bit. And now there's electric ovens. There's just so much there. So it's kind of hard to compare a coal oven New York style pizza to one produced in an electric, a
Baker's Pride,
exactly.
like a bread oven. When you get to those coal ovens are getting up past 900, right?
Where the coal is, for sure, but not where the baking chamber is.
Yeah. What are we looking at there?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it doesn't even cross your mind. But yeah, the Baker's Pride's, the ones that we know when you go to the slice, quote unquote, slice joint, those are the ones that in the 50s were proliferated and created this lower temperature pizza. When you say it kind of changed, what do you mean? I think
I think the characteristics of the pizza changed.
Yeah.
So it's hard to compare New York style pizza in a coal oven versus one in a gas oven.
Yeah.
But they're all big pies, usually cut in 8 slices. You got low moisture mozzarella cheese, which is a little drier than fresh mozzarella. And cheese usually covers a decent portion of it, 80 to 90% of it.
Yeah.
And it's crispy.
It's crispy, and it seems that in parts of the country, like the Midwest, where fast food pizza was invented, Little Caesars and Domino's, paraphrase, of course, they were taking some notes from this style of bread oven New York City pizza, right?
I'm sure they were.
Yeah.
But then mass producing it.
But doing it in like the McDonald's way, yeah. But I mean, I got to shout Little Caesars. Like, have you ever had Little Caesars?
I have once.
Once? You're one and done with Little Caesars.
Yeah. I actually had a friend who, growing up, all of his birthday parties were always Little Caesars pizzas. And I just remember being grossed out about it.
Oh,
even as a child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You had discerning taste. Well, those were like my birthday, 5th grade and 8th grade probably was Little Caesars parties.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, in west side of Michigan. So I definitely had plenty of Little Caesars. Domino's was not really quite our pizza. We had Hungry Howie's, which is a pretty good Midwestern chain. But yeah, I think Midwest invented the fast food pizza in some ways. But then you grew up in Jersey. So tell me about in Matawan with 1 T, not 2. Funny enough, I went to a school called Matawan with 2 T's. You went to the one with 1 T.
Yes.
What was it like for you?
So we were in the shadows of New York City. A lot of people from New York, my parents included, moved from New York to New Jersey to raise a family. And with that came a ton of pizza. There's 10 pizzerias in every single town. And your family has a favorite that is your go-to spot. But depending on where you are, like I used to run errands with my mom as a child, and we knew the best pizza place in each of the towns surrounding our town.
And you went to them like not just Friday nights, but many nights?
Many nights. So pizza night was Tuesday night and Friday night in my house.
Okay.
And then, of course, the random slice here and there throughout the week. It's so affordable and accessible that, where can you feed your kids for, back then a slice was $1.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit more, but still for under $10, you can feed your family.
Yeah.
What?
Not just your family, but like your friends, your office mates. It's the best catering option for many people. It's fucking delicious.
For sure. It's hard not to like.
It's hard not to like. I'd like to get into your journey. You opened your first pizzeria at 26.
Yeah.
You hustled it into existence. I read in your book, which is great, The Joy of Pizza. Tremendous book. We'll get into that too. What was that like hustling into existence? What was the shop like, your first pizzeria at 26?
So I bought an existing pizzeria that was failing, but it had been in existence since 1990 or so. And it just had a really bad pizza recipe, but it had 2 wood-fired ovens.
Oh, wow. It's wood. Cool.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. In 1990?
In 1990.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wood.
They've been around for a very long time in the United States, but they didn't really get very popular until probably early to mid 2000s.
Okay. So what's it like working as a 26-year-old? Did you take on debt to open this place?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What's that like?
Yeah. So I maxed out 3 credit cards and I borrowed small sums of money from probably 10 or 11 different people, paid them back with interest over 5 or 6 years.
Mhm.
And, I bought a pizzeria. It was crazy.
And ultimately, that pizzeria did well. Did it succeed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in a great suburban town. The community really wanted me to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to let them down, and I didn't want to let any of my investors down.
Yeah, there's got to be some level of pride there when you're thinking about opening a place and taking a little bit of debt. You don't want to let people down.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the most popular item there?
Margarita pizza.
Yeah, just margarita. You ended up opening Razza, and we'll get to that. But I would like to first get into the new Neapolitan movement that happened in New York. Like, I would say the aughts, like the mid-aughts. Places like Roberta's, kind of, out in Bushwick, pioneered it. But there's places like Una Pizza Napolitano, certainly making one of the best pies in New York at the time. So what was going through your head as somebody who really understood pizza, who loved Italy, when this new Neo moment was going down?
Yeah, I ate at all of those places and many, many more, especially at that time when I was in my early 20s. I wanted to eat every pizza that I could possibly fit in my mouth.
Yeah.
So I'd come to Manhattan and go to 6 pizzerias in a day, constantly. And I never liked Neapolitan pizza until I had Anthony Mangieri's at Una Pizza Napolitana. That for me was life-changing because there was an aroma to his crust that I never experienced ever.
The one on 12th Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, the original East Village location. Yeah.
Yeah, I started going there in maybe 06 or 07 until he closed and then moved to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then I would go visit him there.
Yeah.
He's also from Monmouth County, where I grew up.
Yeah, he had the spot out in Highlands, Atlantic Highlands. Yeah.
I'm so sad that he closed because it's right by my house.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you live out there too. Now, like, so you're saying that you liked Anthony's pies, but many of the pies weren't hitting it for you.
Yeah, I did not like the texture.
Interesting.
That soft, more pliable.
Yeah.
Sometimes the cheese wasn't even fully melted.
Yeah.
All those black leopard spots.
Yeah.
But with dough that was not fully cooked.
And also didn't have development in flavor too.
No flavor development.
Yeah, it was like a bomb of like just dough. Yeah. I mean, you tasted burned pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't really like it. And I knew I didn't grow up in Naples.
Yeah.
Right. I have no ties to Neapolitan style pizza, and it's not something that I wanted to put out into the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I agree with you. Sometimes like when it wasn't melted fully, it wasn't working that well.
Yeah.
There's a real like cooking art, not just like the dough and like the 2 to 3 day dough process, but the cooking of it wasn't being done fully.
Exactly.
We're building this, and I think listener might be understanding what we're trying to do here is, I'm trying to build towards what you do at Razza, which is hard to define if you're like taking this context of like New York City and Jersey and like the traditional 1950s bread oven style pizzas, and then this new Neapolitan moment, which we all were feeling in the mid-aughts. I mean, Ceste as well comes to mind. There's so many of these new Neo spots, some good, some not. Then you have kind of land on your own style.
Yes.
Which again, I'm just going to have to say it. In September 2017, headline appeared in the New York Times, is New York's best pizza in New Jersey. So let me first ask you, we'll just start with the review, because this is like the review. And I think to this day, probably outside of the Guy Fieri review, is one of the most famous Pete Wells reviews. Did you know he was going to write this about your pie?
No. No, not at all. It was incredible. I mean, he fact checks, so he called me. So I knew he was writing something. Originally, I thought he was going to be writing something about Jersey City food in general. I couldn't imagine him reviewing a pizza place outside of New York. Like, what would be the point? But when I read the review, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So the first time you had a sense that what was happening was you read that headline and you see maybe the stars? Was like online?
It was online.
Yeah.
I was at the restaurant making dough, and I read it, and it was a surreal moment for sure.
Yeah. Did your phone start ringing?
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, press, I'm sure, were calling you.
Yeah.
But customers, they were like, whoa.
Yeah, all friends and family. It was like my wedding day.
Amazing. So let's get to the actual style that you're doing there, because I think that's what's important. It's like Pete hit this in his review, but I'd like to get your sense of it's not a traditional pizza. I think it's got its own unique, Dan Richer style to it.
For sure. Yeah.
What's
So when I kept being disappointed by Neapolitan pizzas, I didn't know where to start. So I came up with a list of like 7 different characteristics about the pizza that these other ones weren't hitting that I wanted to. And it was number 1, structural integrity. I wanted to be able to pick it up with my hands and have it be crispy.
Yeah. None of that sagging stuff. Yeah.
No. I wanted deep caramelization on the rim of the crust, also on the underside of the crust. I wanted the cheese to be fully melted, and I didn't want the sauce overly reduced.
So fresher
Yeah.
sauce in some ways.
Just a brighter sauce that had the right moisture content.
Better word, yeah. Brighter sauce.
Yeah. I hate when pizza has that area where the tomato is exposed to the heat of the oven and it gets real thick and pasty and acidic.
It's literally tomato paste. Like when you open that
exactly.
can, you're like, this is like that crappy slice.
Exactly. I hate that.
Yeah. You reject that.
Yeah. So this list of 7 characteristics was kind of like my framework. And then I started to study bread making and cheese making and talking to tomato canners and farmers and everybody surrounding the products that I was using. And I did the work, I did the research and kind of reverse engineered my characteristics by learning the science and practicing every single day.
So you start with dough, like you become a bread baker, right?
That's the hard part. I started with the tomato sauce and the cheese and all the toppings. It's low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it's like the easiest stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, tomato sauce for pizza is just really good tomatoes, and then you do nothing to them.
Are you thinking Stanislav? Is that what you're going for? Like those California tomatoes? Are you doing like what's
so? We do tomato tastings at the restaurant every year, where we'll talk to our distributors and have them drop off a sample or 2 of the best tomatoes that they have. We line all these up, 12 or 13 of them. And then we do a double-blind taste test, and we taste based on individual characteristics. So the characteristics that make up a tomato are the color, positive flavor attributes, negative flavor attributes, sweetness, acidity, texture, and whether there's a large percentage of seeds and skins in the tomatoes. Those are the characteristics that I look for when I'm tasting. So again, I came up with a list of characteristics about tomatoes in order to decide on the tomato that we were going to use. And
so you have your staff do a double blind. And so are you then deciding at a certain point in the year what you're going to buy?
Yeah. Yeah, we do it every winter.
Every winter?
Yeah.
That's fun. I mean, it's intense, I'm sure, because you really want to get it right, but...
It's not intense. It's more fun and educational.
Yeah.
It really helps my team develop their palates.
Yep. So what have you
There's always a clear winner.
Okay.
Or 2.
Interesting. So what can you say? Like who has won recently? Who do you use?
Yeah. So typically the winner is either Gusto Rosso from Gustiamo. They import Italian food. They're in the Bronx. Every product that they sell is phenomenal, including their tomatoes. And then the Stanislaus Alta Cucina it's a tomato that's only sold wholesale, but it's a fantastic tomato. It hits all those characteristics.
Modesto, California.
Yeah.
Around there, I guess the farms around there.
Right near Lodi, I think.
Lodi, okay. I'm sorry, Californians, bad geography. So will you blend them? Or like, how does that work when you have two varieties? Basically?
Okay, so I never understood why pizzerias have one vat of sauce.
Right.
And they use it on every pizza. I think that there's so many great tomatoes out there that why not use them all? And not necessarily blend them all into one big vat, but have 3 separate containers with 3 different kinds of tomatoes and use them on different pizzas and use them for their inherent strengths and characteristics.
Interesting. So you're going with two tomatoes, 2 canned tomato.
We have 4.
Oh, okay. You have 4. Nice.
Yeah. We have a yellow tomato, also that Gustiamo imports. It's from Campania. It is phenomenal. It's so interesting, actually, that when we taste this yellow tomato, everybody thought it was sweeter than the other tomatoes.
Interesting. Which wouldn't make sense. No,
it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I put the tomato sauce under a refractometer, which measures the Brix, like the actual
like
sugar
a wine
content
maker would do. Yeah,
exactly. And it was substantially lower than all of the other tomatoes.
Is it a color thing?
No.
It doesn't read as anything different. It's red. I mean,
It's actually a very low acid tomato. So acid and sweetness balance each other.
Yeah.
And because it has very little acidity, our brains perceive it to be sweeter.
Fucking fascinating.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, and so let's move on to the dough. We know that time creates flavor. There's development, right? In your
Time
dough.
can.
Oh, great. Correct me, Dan.
It can. It might not.
It might. There might be actually just wait. You're just wasting your time.
Yeah. It depends. It depends.
How did you
Longer is not always better.
Love that. I
Right?
agree.
Like, so case in point, Anthony's Pizza at Una Pizza is a same day dough. So he mixes it in the morning and then uses it that night. It's a very short fermentation, but he gets better flavor than any pizza pretty much out there.
And dude doesn't run out of dough. I mean, if he only needs a day, he's not running out of dough.
No, he's running out of dough.
He's running out, yeah.
It does take a few hours.
Okay.
It takes, the process is, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it does need time to ferment, but it's not the 4-day, 5-day doughs that a lot of people are touting as being better.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that longer is not always better.
Yeah. It's sometimes just marketing speak.
For sure.
Because we as a society, we love age statements.
And people really just not understanding the process.
Right.
We can, as pizza makers, we control the rate of fermentation. And Anthony's is just moving faster.
Mm-hmm. What's yours at right now?
Time-wise?
Yeah.
So we have multiple different recipes.
Yeah.
We have a same-day dough, we have an overnight dough, we have a 2-day dough, and we have a 3-day dough.
Okay.
Depending on our needs.
Right. So and they're different recipes too. So each one is intended to be aged that long.
Yes.
That's all. I mean, it sounds like you're running like a real bread program in your pizzeria. Like that's truly.
Oh, we are.
Like that's what I hope our you are understanding that pizza starts with this bread program. And like the best pizzas out there starts with bread.
1,000%. Pizza's a flat bread with condiments baked onto it.
Yeah, totally.
Right? You have to understand bread making in order to make great pizza. There's just no other way to do it.
We can talk about olive oil at the end, but cheese is the next major component for pizza. What are you thinking? What is your philosophy? And again, The Joy of Pizza is your book, and you outline all of these elements in like a really great way, but a little bit of science nerdery, or a lot actually, but also some color and voice. But what about cheese?
I like multiple different cheeses. Let's talk about the main one, mozzarella.
Yeah.
I love fresh mozzarella. I don't love shredded low moisture mozzarella that's on most New York style pizzas.
Yeah.
I haven't really found a good one that I love. Plus we are baking in a wood fired oven. So our temperature's a little too high for that stuff. That cheese typically performs better at slightly lower temperatures.
In the bread ovens we were talking about earlier. Yep.
Exactly. So I love making our own fresh mozzarella.
Nice.
I think it's such an amazing process, one that really needs to be dialed in, and that's one that I'm always trying to dial in a little bit more, just so we can get the right. We want control over how our cheese melts and flows, right? And if the moisture, fat, and protein balance within the cheese is out of balance, the cheese won't flow.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's hard to do because you're working with like humidity. You're working with like outside factors. Also with like milk sources, I'm sure you're using farms and local farms.
Well, so we actually buy the curd. Like most people who make their own fresh mozzarella, we don't have the storage facility.
You're not going from straight milk. You're going from
exactly.
Curd. Right.
We would need a 50,000 gallon tank to hold the amount of milk that we would need.
They got some warehouse space in Kansas City. I mean, you could probably get something going on.
I wish.
Yeah.
I
So
wish.
you buy the curd. So then we
do the stretching process. So
Yeah.
tempering the curd, cutting the curd.
I see.
And even within that process,
Yeah.
there's so many variables and there's so many things that can go wrong. And it all does start with the milk. And in the summertime, this is the second summer in a row that we've had issues with our cheese melting this time of year. So I spoke to the guy that runs the plant last week, and we were talking about how the milk changes in the summertime, and they have to take corrective measures on their end to make sure that we get a curd that we can then make into mozzarella that will melt properly.
Wow.
And it's really interesting. It was a very hot year. He said climate change is wreaking havoc on farms, and the cows are just not producing milk the way they would in the winter, spring, or fall.
Wow. So the milk is like the milk component is drastically different than like winter milk.
Yes.
Wow. That's really interesting. Who's the farmer?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just you buy.
It's a big company.
Yeah.
And it's not one farmer. I'm sure they're getting from a bunch.
Is it like within the New York region, or do you? Like,
yeah, they're right outside of Albany.
Oh, cool. Upstate. Okay.
Yeah. They say the wildfires this year wreaked havoc also.
Yeah,
on the cows.
from May and June. Yeah, that must have been tough. I mean, all ag was affected by that, man.
Yeah. So that's our mozzarella, but like I said, I like having multiple different products.
Yeah.
We work with a farm in Sussex County, New Jersey, which is all the way up north. They are raising Jersey cows on their farm. They're milking the cows in the morning, making the cheese that afternoon, and we get it the next morning.
Amazing.
It's incredible. And
Wow.
so we have different versions of the margarita pizza, and I love doing them side by side because they are so completely different.
What do you call them on the menu? These two different styles.
Well, we have the Jersey margarita.
Yeah.
We're about to start serving the summer margarita, which is different. We have the yellow margarita with those yellow tomatoes from Campania. And then we have our standard margarita. That's like kind of the best in show.
You can just do like a margarita tasting at your restaurant.
We do.
Yeah. What a fun. That would be so fun. Yeah. Let's talk about the menu. How does the menu set up? Like how are you doing pies, different ones like specials every day? Do you have a standard set, obviously a menu?
Yeah. So our menu is, we reprint our menus every day, which is unique for a pizzeria, but it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, if corn season starts today, I'm not going to start 6 weeks early with corn because my summer menu's coming out or anything. So most of the menu is static. They're classics. They're not ever coming off the menu unless there's a supply shortage of the very specific products that we use for those pizzas. It's like the pepperoni, the margaritas. We have a mushroom pizza. Most of the menu is standard, but then we have the seasonals that come and go as the seasons change.
Right. That must be the fun part about your job. And you're writing a lot of these recipes.
All of them, yeah.
Yeah, you're writing all of them.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
To your recipes.
Yeah.
I mean,
obviously we do work together collectively as a team.
Yeah. What's the restaurant setup like? Are you working service? Are you making the pizzas yourself? Or do you have a team? Are you like orchestrating it? How does that work?
Yeah, I'm orchestrating.
Yeah.
We have a huge team at this point. Every night we have 7 people making pizza.
Takeout and dine in?
Yeah, because we have 2 wood-fired ovens, so it takes 2 oven operators, 2 people to top the pizzas, 2 people to stretch the pizzas, and 1 person to expedite.
Is there like a path as a cook arriving at Razza? Who like do you start in a certain station and end at the? How's that work?
Yeah,
cool.
Stretching first.
Yeah,
you got to know how to touch the dough.
Hard to do that. I've tried it.
It is hard. It does come more naturally to some people than others, but ultimately everybody can learn how to do it. It's just a matter of how long it will take and how much dedication they put into it.
Right. And how strong their hands are and how they don't get tired.
Yeah.
It gets tired.
We're not so aggressive with our dough, and our dough is kind of loose.
Yeah.
It's a pretty high hydration dough, so we're not like pushing and like stretching.
Right.
Like our dough just flies open, and we're super gentle with it.
So that's the key, is to actually have that later touch.
So the amount of pressure that your hands exert onto the dough will change based on where the dough is in its life cycle.
Interesting.
Yes.
So you start with stretching, and then where do you go?
And then we go topping, and then baking. The baking is, I want to say it's the hardest. They're all pretty hard, but baking is in my opinion harder because you're building a fire, managing a fire, and cooking the pizzas at the same time.
Yeah.
Like fire management and keeping the temperatures in balance and at the right temperature, not too high, not too low. That's like 80% of it.
Yeah.
Cooking the pizza part
It's fast.
It's pretty fast.
That part's fast. Like, maintaining the temperature. Do you find yourself up in that position during the day?
I love being on the oven.
Yeah. You'll jump in once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll do some pies. I mean, I'm sure it's nice to get back in there.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, whoever's on the oven, I'll tell them to take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, go. I want to do some of these. That's great.
Yeah, I love it. It's just I've been doing it for so long, and it feels so good to be back there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real sense of accomplishment. A lot of people in jobs, they don't, you do a job and it's kind of like maybe you leave and it's not quite done, but when you leave Razza by 2 a.m. when you're done with the shift, it's like you did a lot that day.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels good. My days are definitely long, but it doesn't feel like work. I get to make pizza and talk about pizza all day, every day.
Yeah.
And I think about it on my drive home. I think about it before bed.
You probably take some vacations around pizza.
I do, yeah. I was just in Spain judging the National Spanish Pizza Competition.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a cool, they fly you out for that?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. What city?
Cool. This was in Madrid.
Oh, fun. So what was good there? Did something surprise you?
No.
No.
I mean, the jamon was amazing.
Yeah.
And all of the other food was extraordinary.
Yeah.
Some of the pizzas were very good.
Yeah.
Everybody was Neapolitan inspired.
How much American travel do you do for pizza? Are there any cities that excite you?
I do a lot, yeah, for sure. We just did our book tour in California in October.
Yeah.
I love LA so much.
Yeah.
Not only for the pizza.
Not just for Bianco and his stuff there. I mean, he's a new transplant.
Yeah. No, between Apollonia's for a Detroit, I think he's doing better Detroit than anybody I've tasted in the country. It's extraordinary.
Even Buddy's?
I don't know. I've never been.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Yeah, Buddy's is a micro theme here. That's my Detroit spot. That's where my family's from. So,
really?
Yeah. But so more about LA. What else do you like?
For pizza?
Yeah.
Daniele Uditi. I love Pizzana. He's a good friend. I love Giusta.
Yeah.
Angelina, but Giusta is my real favorite.
Yeah.
I love that place. And they make good pizza. Their breads are phenomenal. Everything that they do is, I can't go to LA and not go there.
Really, really good spot. I love it. But you aren't going to expand out there. You're not going to enter the pizza fray out there.
I live in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I have 2 kids, my wife.
Yeah.
We're very happy living in New Jersey. And I always have pipe dreams, of course, about moving to the West Coast. Yeah. I do love it.
Yeah, it's nice, especially in like January.
Yeah.
You have 2 kids in New Jersey. What about New York?
Never.
Really? Because I mean, you can still be at home in your home with your kids.
I know.
And still have a place. You can have a place, Midtown.
But my commute would get 30 minutes longer.
It's true. You can always get a pied a terre, get a place in the city.
I would love that. But I would never open in New York. It's too hard to do business here.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Really? Unpack that. What do you mean?
I just think it's a difficult place to do business because whether you're open or closed, nobody cares. Where I am in New Jersey, the community rallies around us. They are so proud that we're there, and restaurants are a meeting place for the community.
Yep.
We've developed a lot of happy neighbors and just a really great community.
It's Jersey City. We've had Rick Easton in as well, talking about his restaurant there, and you've got yours, and they really rally around you. I've witnessed this in Jersey.
Yeah, it's special. And even the further away from Manhattan you go, the more you feel that community.
Yeah, it's a great point, Dan, and I appreciate that this restraint. I mean, I feel like you probably get offers all the time to open in many places, and you're not doing it.
Yeah, like free restaurants. We'll build everything.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do everything. You just have to operate it. But I have no interest.
You just know that changes everything, especially at Razza where you're at now.
Yeah.
And you're just you're making money now, I would imagine. You're doing okay.
Yeah, we're doing okay.
Yeah.
We doubled the size of the restaurant this year, so
Right.
it's gonna be a while to pay that back.
Yeah.
But we're good. We're busy, and I like being there. I like being with my team. I like being with our guests. I like being in the space.
Yeah, you have a real presence in your dining room. When you're there, you will meet you. You'll be around. You're making your presence felt, which I think, and you're answering questions. And do you feel like we have this endless love of pizza as a society?
Yes. Yeah. And it all starts in childhood, obviously, and the fact that it's everywhere. It's fundamentally delicious.
Yeah.
And people have serious pride around their spots that they like to go to.
So let's segue to The Joy of Pizza, your book that you wrote with Katie Parla. It's an interesting dynamic in that you are a very serious restaurateur and chef and have this pizzeria that's well regarded, but you also wrote a very serious cookbook about pizza. And I think it's usually either or, to be honest. So I was impressed by that. And it's a great book. I'm going to link to in the show notes. You should pick it up. Katie Parla, let's talk about her. How did you and Katie link up, and how was that process?
Yeah, so I was consulting on a restaurant opening in Manhattan, maybe 2013 or 14, and the chefs flew me over to Italy to eat pizza with them. So we could just start the dialogue about what they wanted their product to be. And when chefs go to Italy, they hang out with Katie Parla.
Yeah.
She's brilliant. She's funny. She's just so smart.
I love hanging out with her. Yeah, it's a real treat if you can catch her in Italy.
Yeah.
A real treat. Yeah.
Because she'll tell you the history behind this building right here, but then also, what the best pizza bianca is in the area. She's just brilliant. And when I wanted to write a cookbook, I just asked her advice about it. She said, "Don't do it. It'll ruin your life."
Good, Katie. Like, you got the tone down and the words down right.
For sure.
You're right. And she's not wrong in many ways. I mean, I think cookbooks are great in so many ways, but you have to be ready and you have to understand the burden.
Yeah. And for me, the actual content and the writing process was so much fun. Like, we would just have phone calls for an hour a day, every day. And she would say, "Okay, let's talk about these things." And I would just ramble on about these 3 topics for the day. And after months and months of doing that, then she started to make me make sense because, as you can tell, I have the verbal skills of a 6-year-old.
Stop it! No, I think if you're at this far in the podcast, you're doing okay. You can talk about, but I know a chef gets busy and you get a little bit sidetracked, so you got to get those hours have to count.
Yeah, and I'm super ADD, so sitting at a computer is not happening for me. That's one of the reasons I love running a restaurant.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things going on constantly that I don't have to sit in one spot and just,
Yeah. So Katie and you linked up and you wrote this book. And really, how do you make the endorsement to make pizza at home? Because I feel like there's so many factors that you just outlined that you really, as an expert, you need to be an expert to get it right. But I think we're in this Uni generation, and Uni's not a brand sponsor. It just comes to mind that is making more pizza at home. We have these ovens, and but is it worth it in the end to make pizza at home?
Yeah. Of course. Yes, absolutely. The Uni ovens are great. And there's other brands out there also, but Uni's kind of like the go-to brand.
The Birkin bag of, it's expensive, but it's also quite good.
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Their most expensive oven, the Karu 16, that's my oven. That's what I use at home. Mm-hmm. I think it's the best one on the market out of all the ovens under, say, $2,500.
Mm-hmm.
I can get the same quality pizza in that I do in my home in my restaurant oven. Yeah.
Dang, what an endorsement! But it's worth it though. Let's go through that. As a home cook, it's worth tackling pizza.
So pizza takes a lot of repetition.
Right.
I compare pizza, it's more of a skilled trade than, say, being a cook or just making a bowl of soup. It's difficult to just follow a recipe. You have to, pizza making is probably 30 different steps in the process, and you have to understand each step and execute each step at the right time, at the right temperature, before you move on to the next one. And then you have to nail every single step of the process. Otherwise, the pizza's not really that great. Because pizza, like everybody, how many pizzerias are there in the country? So many, and we're all doing the exact same thing.
Right.
Flour, water, salt, and yeast, tomato sauce, and cheese.
Right.
Right? But there's infinite variation.
Yeah. Maybe a straight pineapple.
Yeah.
Or maybe not in your pies.
No.
But like, I mean, you've said yes, it's worth it, but then you like got 30 steps to do.
So if you are the type of person that likes process and repeating, it's incredible.
Yeah, and there's listeners out here who love that shit, like are process fiends.
Yeah. So like I'm like an amateur woodworker.
Yeah.
I love working with wood.
Yeah.
You understand the raw materials, which is the wood, and then the techniques for joining two pieces together. That's kind of how pizza works too. You learn about the raw materials, the flour, water, salt, and yeast, and then you learn the techniques for putting them together.
Well said, Dan. I think there's definitely like ways to link our everyday life to making pizza.
Oh my God. Pizza is my platform for discovering the world.
Oh, that's funny. I like.
Yeah, it's so interesting how many different subjects from history and society, culture, but also all of the sciences, from chemistry to biology, agriculture, thermodynamics. Like I was not a good student, and I never thought I would have to learn about thermodynamics. But you have to understand the very basics in order to cook pizza properly.
And then you layer on the economics piece when you're running a business.
For sure.
Yeah, then you got that whole thing. Yeah, no, it's I mean, doing the simplest foods can be the most difficult task. We know that. Like, it's like really hard to perfect like a relatively simple thing.
Yes. But its simplicity is what brings people together because everybody loves it. So it was very attractive to me because I want to connect with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And it's just pizza is that way to connect with people.
So obvious. Are you going to write another book?
I would love to.
What are you thinking? What draws you to writing more books? I know you put a lot into this one.
I had so much fun working with Katie.
Yeah.
And getting all of my thoughts out and making discoveries in the process and really dialing in, because I had to dial in my process even more in order to write a book about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's not using your restaurant recipes. You have to really figure out how to pare it down.
Yeah, we used a lot of the restaurant recipes, but then, scaled them down and refined them a little bit more, which helped the restaurant.
Yeah.
And, if you want to make the corn pizza from Razza, we have the recipe in there.
Yeah. So it helped the restaurant, the actual writing of the book.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. So it actually pared down some of the internal recipes too.
Yes. And it just refined them.
It's really cool. So what would be the dream book project? What would you want to work on?
Pizza and all the periphery.
Yeah.
All the different breads that I know how to make, all the other products like yogurt and like yogurt. Like what does yogurt have to do with pizza?
Yeah.
Well, everything. It's dairy fermentation. It's the beginning of cheese.
Yeah. There is a connection there. I get
Absolutely.
it. I get it.
It's one of the most simple forms of fermentation. Is taking a scoop of yogurt with some heirloom cultures and adding it to a glass of milk and letting it sit on your counter.
Yeah. All the peripheral products. It's interesting. What's the best thing to drink with pizza?
The best thing to drink with pizza is whatever you like to drink.
Fair enough.
In my opinion, it's wine. If we're talking about alcoholic beverages.
Like, I guess, like, I think a soda. I like soda with pizza. Personally, I like a fountain soda with pizza. A little watered down.
Yep.
I like a cola. Yeah, I don't like a lemon lime or root beer.
I love a root beer.
Root beer is great, but I don't know with pizza.
Yeah.
And wine is tricky. Is it red or white? Cold or not cold?
So I am white all the way. I like a little bit of bubbly sometimes in there.
So how do you end a pizza meal? So like you've got this pie in front of you. You got like maybe your Crystal Pepsi or whatever, and then you're full, but you need something else. And I think that's when you're at a pizzeria, you don't know how to end it.
Yes, because if they have dessert, they're probably buying the stuff that everybody else is buying.
Yeah, it's like some kind of
Tiramisu in the little plastic.
tira. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we do dessert at the restaurant. It's one of the things we've been focusing on for the past couple of years.
yeah.
Yeah, so we have like 3 or 4 different desserts that, I'm not a pastry chef at all, but I really love the process of learning and figuring it out. I'm not just scouring the internet for recipes and then doing them. That's not my thing. Like, I want to fully and deeply understand the process and the relationship of ingredients. Like, what is increasing the sugar amount due to the ratio, and like what happens?
Yeah. Do you do a Bodino?
We used to. We haven't in a while.
I feel Bodino is like the perfect restaurant dessert.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Let me ask you, are you still consulting? Do you still do that kind of work?
Yeah, every now and then.
What do you like to
I'll
do?
only take projects that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
I do have my hands full with running a restaurant and trying to be a good dad and husband.
Yeah.
So I say no to a lot of things,
Yeah.
which I'm okay with.
Yeah. But once in a while, you'll hop on that plane, go somewhere, and teach them how to make pizza.
For sure.
I love that.
I know. I love making pizza outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I learn so much every time I do it.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, the challenge of using other equipment and different, elevations, all that. There's so many variables.
Yeah. So when I was in Spain a couple of weeks ago, I did a pop-up, and I didn't bring anything with me except a tiny little vial of my sourdough starter.
Amazing. You got that through security?
Oh, always. Yeah.
You know the tricks.
I do.
Yeah.
I didn't bring flour with me. I didn't bring anything.
Wow.
So I searched for 5 days trying to taste my way through all of the mozzarellas, talk to bakers about which flours they use.
That's fun.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. Dan, on This Is Taste, we ask guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a little rapid fire, fast and furious taste check. Are you ready?
I'm ready. How fast do I have to go?
I mean, you can go as fast as you want. I mean, I think you make a lot of pies. Like 200 a night, 300.
A little more.
Are we doing 600 pizzas a night? Business is good.
Yeah. I mean, the volume is there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, right. I mean, then you got cost of goods and all that.
Yeah, that's the part that...
That's the part. All right. The last non-Razza pizza to touch your lips.
I have a local spot that I go to on my way to work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On your way to work.
Yeah. Sometimes you get hungry and you
Crush
gotta
a
get...
slice.
Yeah. At least once a week.
What's it called?
Ray's.
Ray's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Of course it's Ray's.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
Exactly. I don't know if it's real Ray's or famous, original, famous.
It's just Ray's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it on like 35, 36 around there?
It is.
All right. I know where you live.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blow up your spot. I'm not going to dox you on the show. The best AM pastry for coffee.
All the pastries. I want all of them.
Ah, really? There's not one?
I have a massive sweet tooth.
Yeah.
And I love pastries.
Yeah.
I love canapés.
Yeah, canapés. There you go.
Or anything with pastry cream.
Oh, yeah. Sucker. Same. The best dessert, period. Hands down.
Ice cream.
Flavor?
All of them.
Okay, fair.
Except anything boozy.
Yeah, not good.
No.
Kahlua, yeah, not good.
Not into it.
Not into it. But they have like, there's a tira, has like the full boozy. So are you not a big tira fan? Tiramisu?
Yeah.
Oh, that to me is a little boozy.
Can be.
But you're just not into boozy ice cream. Very separate thing.
Exactly.
Got it. The best bread.
Place for the best bread?
Could be that, or it could be like the style of bread. Good question.
Oh, so I love any bread that's made with care, and you can always taste it.
Yeah.
I love my favorite bread is at Bread and Salt, Rick Easton's.
Yeah.
He's just such a brilliant baker. He truly and deeply cares about what he does.
Yeah.
And I love that place.
Yeah, Jersey City. Look them up. It's like a good one, too. You could do Razza and Bread and Salt.
Yes.
The most underappreciated food in Italy.
Horse.
Oh, yeah. What part of Italy are you finding that in?
A bunch of different parts, but specifically, I've been to Verona a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that city.
Yeah. How does horse served? Is it grilled?
A few different ways.
Yeah.
They'll do it grilled. They'll do it braised is my favorite with a little bit of polenta.
Yeah, I was in Puglia and I had it. It was grilled and it had a little like salsa verde on it. It's good.
Yep.
It was like lean, you know?
Some parts are lean.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
parts. The most underappreciated food of New Jersey.
Scallops.
Ah.
Yeah.
So-
we are one of the biggest scallop producers in the country.
That's
And they're phenomenal.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And like we use that like day boat scallop bullshit, but like this is like truly that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the season?
Fall, winter,
Nice.
yeah, is the big time of year.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. LBI has like the biggest one, the biggest fishery.
God, shout out to LBI. I love it there.
It's amazing.
It's a great place.
It's incredible.
Actually, not a lot of pizza there.
No.
You know,
sadly.
right? It's am I like sorry, like am I speaking out of school? Like there isn't like a great pizzeria there.
I haven't found a good pizza there.
Yeah. Huh. Your favorite New York City restaurant right now?
Union Square Cafe,
Right.
which is
The one on Park Ave. Like the
the
kind of
new.
like the quote unquote new, but
The
it's
new,
been 6
yeah.
years probably.
yeah. Well, I mean, the chef is new, Chef Lena.
Oh, okay.
She is incredible.
Great to know.
I think Union Square Cafe is in its prime right now, even after being open since what, 86
Yeah.
maybe?
And new location, many years. Dan Richard, that is a tip.
Yeah,
I have not been there in years.
it is so good.
Great to know. Your favorite cookbook of all time?
That's a tough question. The Bread Builders. It's a book about masonry ovens and hearth loaves.
Whoa, sick. So this is actually like the building of brick ovens.
Yeah. So they talk a lot about building, but just about how they operate and how to best utilize them.
Yeah.
And then it talks about naturally leavened bread.
How to make
also.
the breads in
Yeah.
it.
It's by
have you
Alan
built
Scott.
an oven?
I have not built an oven. I think it's important to let professionals
Yeah.
do the professional work.
Yeah.
It again, so many different variables, and the oven determines the style of pizza.
Yeah. And there's probably like a tool or 5 that they only have to make those ovens.
And a lot of technique. And
Yeah.
my arms are too skinny for all that lifting, though.
Yeah. There's some
Yeah.
heavy, muscly guys doing that stuff. Your favorite recent cookbook discovery?
I love Katie's new book,
Yeah.
Food of the Italian Islands. I think it's incredible.
Yep.
I love Rick's. We talked about both these people already,
Yeah.
so these are bad examples.
No, they're
but
great. I think they're both great books.
I love Rick's book.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, definitely. You got to sit down and read that book because him and Melissa together wrote a really special book that has been a little quiet. I'm going to say. I wish more people would read it. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. It's so informative.
Yeah.
And it just gets at the soul of bread in general.
Yeah. Melissa McCart and Rick Easton, How to Eat Bread. Is that right?
Bread and how to eat it.
Bread and How to Eat It. Yep, that's it. A couple more. A food you could obsess about that's not pizza.
Chicken soup
Okay.
or any bird broth.
Oh,
Yeah.
So just fowl in general,
Fowl.
the foulest broths of the land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I crave them.
Really?
Yeah. It's weird.
No,
Like
it's
I
not
can
weird.
drink quart after quart after quart.
Do you like work? Are you a workout guy? Do you do them like post workouts and stuff?
No, I don't work out.
No, is it just
I'm on
like
the pizza workout.
pizza workout? Are you
Stress diet.
you just hit the bird broth and
Yeah. There's something I need about it. I crave it. I don't know if it's the saltiness or just the complexity and flavor.
the mirepoix? Do you like that? Like
Oh, yeah.
the carroty, like oniony, and then with the bird stock,
Yeah. I like the very rich broths. So
the doubles,
yes, triples.
the triples. Have you had samgyetang, the Korean style chicken broth?
No,
Oh wow, you should try it. It's up in Jersey. There's plenty of places.
really.
So yeah, it's a young chicken stuffed with glutinous rice with ginseng and jujubes and some onions or scallions.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and like a very light broth, but you get to have the rice and the jujubes. Cool. Makes you like excited. Last question: your favorite sandwich?
I eat a lot of sandwiches because I'm always on the go.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I really have a favorite. Maybe a grilled cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mean like I'm questioning you because I fully agree. Now, okay,
What's your favorite sandwich?
banh mi?
Oh, I love banh mi.
We had a draft. Banh mi is number 1 for me, but
That's like the perfect sandwich.
it's yes. I when it's done right, and
Yeah.
I've had some pretty okay ones, but yeah, I think. But back to the grilled cheese. What are you thinking? Like, is it thick? Is it thin? Is it childhood memory? Is it more
It's
fancy?
childhood.
Yeah.
That's like, if I'm having a bad day, I'll go to the diner and get a milkshake and a grilled cheese, maybe a bowl of chicken soup too.
New Jersey diners.
The best.
Like Brooklyn diners, New York diners, nothing compares to Jersey diners. They're so good.
Yeah, it's a special type of restaurant.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing when you go to a good one. I love it so much. Dan Richer, thank you so much for joining This Is Taste.
Thanks for having me.
This Is Taste is hosted by Eliza Abarbanel and me, Matt Rodbar. The show is produced by Shalia Harris and Pat Stango and edited by Clayton Gumbert. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter for updates on all cool things that are happening.